Happy Monday, everybody! You're listening to the Personal Playlist Podcast, fondly referred to as the P3. I'm Noah Daniel.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand.
I am so excited to have Steven Floyd here on the Personal Playlist Podcast. Steve is an award-winning computer science and computer engineering teacher and currently an education officer at Ontario's Ministry of Education. He has a passion for technology in schools and its potential to change how students think and learn. Steve is currently a PhD candidate in curriculum studies at Western's Faculty of Education, where he's researching computer science curriculum in K-12 education. Steve has 3 boys, aged 12, 10, and 7, and is married to his wonderful wife, Lisa. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
It's so nice when people have 3 kids and you have 3 kids and you know that it feels like the family becomes a team the second you go anywhere.
Yes, exactly. And we've got a basketball court very nearby. So we're always playing a team of 5 basketball.
That's so nice. We're more like the ski together, swim together, go walking in the woods together types. But it's cool that you guys can all show some mad skills on the court.
Yeah,
I wish we were all that good. I want to talk a little bit about your work at the ministry. What are you doing?
Yes, so I started back in February 2020. I'm an education officer. And I'm working around curriculum. So there's a number of kind of different things going on all the time, some long range projects, but also some things that just come up daily. So it's been really exciting to me to see kind of that side of the education system. I've always considered things that worked kind of in my classroom and things that maybe worked within our school. And I thought of scale in terms of sort of our school board. And now I'm opening my eyes to like what scale kind of really means in terms of large educational jurisdictions. What type of policy and curriculum kind of could work for everybody. And it's really, for me, it's really interesting to see.
It's so cool. I really appreciate that. And I wonder, in terms of the work that you're doing and getting used to, if it's given you a new appreciation for some of the things you were doing in the classroom from the scale that you're referring to.
Absolutely. And I was like, even when I started teaching, I always had such a profound respect for curriculum and policy documents. I taught a few years and then went to do a master's in educational policy at Western, and now doing my PhD. So I love Ontario policy, like educational policy. I love the curriculum documents. The front matter is always really it sounds strange, but it's really exciting for me to read. I'd worked on writing kind of e-learning courses, and I loved connecting all the curriculum expectations and kind of doing them in different order or kind of setting them out so they'd all connect nicely. So I just for some reason, I just really like those documents. So it's exciting now that I get to work so closely there.
I find it all really exciting too. So I really get it. And it's like the poetry of weaving together different curricular expectations into something bigger than what you think it could be. I find that a very exciting possibility. And it really ignites a passion when people have a love of the classroom and understand some of the whys behind the policy. I think it's a really interesting way to take your next step. How long is your secondment?
It's a 3-year secondment. So when I've been there about 8 months. Yeah.
That's amazing. And tell me a little bit about your PhD.
So I'm working with Dr. George Gadanitas. He's my supervisor at Western University. So it's a PhD in curriculum studies. I've been very interested, as you mentioned. I was computer science, computer engineering teacher. And Lisa, my wife, we've both been doing a lot of work with bringing coding and computer science, computational thinking to the younger grades. And so this was finally a topic that I thought, okay, this I can really dig into. As a PhD, you get very, very specific in one area. And a few years ago, I realized that area for me was going to be kind of computer science education in K-12. So I've been looking at a few different things over the last kind of 2.5 years. I've been looking a little bit at kind of jurisdictions across Canada and the world and what they're doing in K-8 education. I took a look at kind of historical documents in Ontario to look at computer science in Ontario since I think about 1965, actually, surprisingly enough. There's kind of like punch card programming that goes back a long way. So I've been looking at all those things, and also as well as kind of the approaches, what researchers are saying about teaching younger students about coding, and the importance of like diversity and inclusion and equity for groups that might be underrepresented in the area. So it's been kind of broad in terms of the topics, but really specific in terms of just looking at kind of computer science and coding curriculum.
Yeah, and there's a lot of specific shout outs to both you and Lisa if you look at TVO and some of the work that's being highlighted, especially now. And actually I get a twofer of Floyd's this week because Lisa's coming on as part of the panel on Thursdays on Ed Mentors, although this show will air just afterwards. I'm happy to have a family affair here on the P3.
That's right. You can imagine our conversations at home. You can just kind of imagine what we chat about at night, and it's true. It's our kids get a little sick of hearing about coding and curriculum all day.
It's kind of awesome though to have somebody that you can talk to and brainstorm with that's in the same field as you like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. And we're learning to be kind of like, she won't let me get away with much either. Like if she has she's a good, I wouldn't say critical lens, but she's a good honest lens and an honest voice when we're talking about different things.
Well, that's important. And this
Exactly.
is an authentic experience with its own honest voice. So I asked you to prepare 3 songs, one that's nostalgic, one that reflects your identity, and one that picks you up, lifts you up, inspires, or motivates. So tell me a little bit about the experience of making those choices.
It was interesting because for the last few weeks, I've been getting our kids ready for school. And we've been doing an artist of the week, actually. This started probably late September. So I would pick I've had a few records around the house that I've been collecting over the years. So I would pick an artist of the week and we'd listen to that artist in the morning and then after school. And our middle son, Max, is usually up first. So he'll do a bit of research before the other 2 are up and he'll tell them about some of our artists. So I was thinking carefully, I'm like, do I select from our artist of the week or like, and it seems so broad. And then finally I remembered, and I remember this from teaching even, I'm like, if there aren't any kind of limitations, then it gets a bit difficult to choose. So I kind of self-imposed a limitation. So I'm going all Canadian today. I hope that's okay. I picked an all Canadian list of artists. So that helped. Once I kind of gave myself some type of limitation, I could work within that limitation, and that helped a little bit.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's true about you as a learner. We can explore that another time.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we're getting deep already.
Take me to your nostalgic song, because this Canadian band it's a really interesting story actually about this band in terms of where they started and how they're viewed, and really, like, even though they started in Halifax, they're seen as a rock band based in Toronto, and they've had quite a few hits and quite a cool run, but this song is really about being Canadian. So tell me a little bit about why it's your nostalgic song.
This one, just this band, I mean, they take me back to university days, late 90s, early 2000s. I'd never actually seen them in concert, but I saw another band playing, and the drummer from Sloan was helping them out that day. The song, The Rest of My Life, it kind of sets up my university days a little bit. I loved university. I was a person that, I think at Western University, I don't know if it was back then or not, but they had a slogan like major in yourself or something like that was the slogan. And that kind of really actually spoke to me. Like, even when I look back, I think that's when I started spending time. I really enjoyed spending time in the library, on the top floor, Weldon, or I think it's Betty Taylor, the science library. Like, I started to really enjoy that for some reason, and it was different for me. So university was kind of cool in terms of kind of learning different parts about myself, I guess. And then also trying to figure out what I do for the rest of my life, which I've realized now I still don't know because I just started a PhD a few years ago. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I'll ever kind of figure out the rest of my life. And I love the line. You mentioned a great Canadian song. There's a line in here. One thing I know about the rest of my life, I know that I'll be living it in Canada. And it's such a great line. I imagine everybody going crazy at concerts and things like that.
Yeah, I think that there's like that moment of unification. But the fact that you're majoring in yourself, let's play this song, and then I want to keep talking about how you transition from Western to your identity song. So here is Sloan, The Rest of My Life.
I started thinking about the rest of my life.
that song encapsulates like the moratorium that is university, I think. As I was listening to it, thinking about you at Western, and I went to Western, so as soon as you gave me the image of DB Weldon, I can think about how late we were all working all the time in that building. But really, it was about that wondering and kind of keeping your options open and trying to picture where this was all leading you.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of bounced around a bit. I was in kinesiology. I was worked really hard. I was in kinesiology. I moved into computer science for my second year, then decided I wanted to stay in kinesiology, but still take the computer science courses. So I was kind of, trying to figure out the rest of my life. I should mention too, I did meet Lisa in university, fourth year university. Maybe you could put that at the start of the podcast, just so I don't get in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. But I gotta mention it. So I met Lisa. We were in fourth year working at campus recreation there, and I met Lisa. So that's kind of established the rest of my life, obviously, as well. So yeah, university definitely exciting times, kind of foundational times for me, anyways.
I can't get that major in yourself idea out of my head because, I'm much older than you, or at least a little bit older than you. And I think one of the things that I probably still discovering is who I am and what my identity means. And it's something that's really important to me as a teacher. And in many ways, this whole show is about majoring in yourself. So you had to pick your identity song, and you could choose from all these Canadian songs within your parameter, but you chose this one. And this is an interesting song too, in terms of the artist and what he's contributed to the Canadian landscape. So tell us a little bit about why you chose this.
I think it was that it's still, it's nostalgic. It takes you back to university, but it's also still, it still speaks to me. I found solace in eventually realizing like I wasn't really ever going to know what I was going to do. Like at 40, I think I started a PhD, which isn't it's a strange midlife crisis to go into grad school, but it was like, that's what I wanted to do. And now being able to work kind of at the Ministry of Education and being able to be on secondment and potentially return back to Mother Teresa, which is the school I teach at in London, which is fantastic with fantastic students and fantastic staff. It just kind of made sense that will I ever settle down? Obviously we've settled down kind of into a home and we've got kind of a nice location here in London, but always thinking of new things, like always pushing the envelope, either kind of academically or exploring other ways of teaching, other pedagogies like that. Now that it's in education, I know that much, but it's still kind of quite varied. Like I'm still kind of really interested in all different aspects.
Yeah, but you know what else? Like you've got a good name. Like if you ask around about you, that shows a lot of integrity and authenticity in terms of who you are and the idea that you show up as yourself. So that's a pretty cool thing to be too. So I understand what you were saying about it. And I love songs like this, rap in general, with all of the illusions, but it says so much. And this artist really has been so important to Canada, not just because of his work on CBC radio, but a lot of his work has given him the praise that he's among the most talented, genuine musical artists. And a fine poet. So let's play Shad. Is that how you say it? I'm always worried about saying it wrong.
That's right. This is Shad, sometimes known as Shad K. I actually went to elementary school with Shadrach. Shadrach Kabango is his name. I went to elementary school with him and his sister at École Frère-André and Monseigneur Brielle in London. And so when Shad started making rap music, I was getting in touch with my brother right away, saying, he's so good. And he's so good. This song, when you mentioned identity, this is it. This doesn't necessarily represent kind of my identity, but this song is called A Good Name, and it's Shad rapping about his own name, Shadrach. And I've seen kind of some conversations on Twitter or on different social media platforms and about students and their name, and not just respecting their name, but appreciating the name, And so this song goes into detail about Shadrach's name and talks about his father and his family. And it's like, geez, this is identity right here. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that talks about that a lot because one of my Bob projects is What's in a Name. And it's another big identity one that really builds the classroom around who's in the room. So I'm excited to hear this song and learn a little bit more about why your name is a good name.
I got a good name. Say what you like, just spell my name right. Yeah. Say what you like, I represent more than my rep. Say what you like, just spell my name right. I got a good name. My first name came from a slave in Babylon. Back in the day, rat in a cage. Raised in chains, he trained like Rocky. But I mean his brain, not boxing. So we got sly like Stallone, got game like 50 Cent Posse. Up first to work on his coffee grind. In no time, promoted to the king's right hand. But no hype man had to take the right stand. When the king made a statue of gold, and he told the whole nation that they had to bow down to it. That'd get tossed in a furnace. Shad and his boy said, boss, you can burn us. We can't serve this statue, it's worthless. The king was mad, but Shadrach wasn't nervous. It must have been some strange phenomenon. They walked straight through the fire, Shaka Khan. Saved by faith, stronger than flames. If I'm half as brave, then I honor my name. I got a good name. Say what you like, just spell my name right. Say what you like, just spell my name right. I got a good name. I represent more than my rep. I'm saying, I got a good name. I represent more than my rep. That explains me. Say what you like, just spell my name right. Where you from? Where I'm from. Say what you like, just spell my name right. My grandmother told my mother it's Africa at work. And my last name's come down.
What are you thinking about hearing the song?
It's so cool. Like, I mean, about pride, he gets into his family here, and you can't help but kind of think, yeah, I mean, so much respect and appreciation for his story. And then I guess I'm thinking a bit about myself as well. I was named after my grandfather, who was in England. His was spelled PH, Stephen with a PH, and I'm Stephen with a V. But yeah, and Shad eventually speaks about his father, and of course I'm a dad now with 3 boys. So yeah, there's a lot in this song, and it's just great to listen to. Sly like Stallone, he's got good lines in there as well, and it's just a powerful song, I think. And the topic was identity. I mean, this is a powerful song about that.
Yeah, but what's interesting, even your point about the V versus the PH and the fact that you have to throw a P in the middle of your name because there's probably more than one Steven Floyd. Like, all of those manifestations become part of who you are and how you tell your story. I know that, especially on Twitter, that really becomes how people start to think about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do get asked, is it Stephen or Steve? And then even people will refer and say, it's Stephen P. Floyd or something like that. And yeah, the P kind of sticks. And it's funny with social media because we see that, that's kind of, we have that vision in our head when we see somebody who might be like, oh, that's at so-and-so. And you think about them in terms of either their email address or social media or something like that. And that's kind of pretty interesting in terms of identity nowadays.
Our names become a lot of different things, but ultimately having a good name is about who you are every day and how you show up in the places that you work and interact and in your family. So when you had to pick that last song and you could choose the descriptor of pick me up, motivational, inspirational, what were you thinking?
I couldn't help but think about, what's going on right now. I mean,
yeah.
It's a global pandemic. People are there's a lot of different situations, I mean, we're doing okay here. People are healthy and things in our family and friends. And we're fortunate for that, but there's other people who are in all sorts of different situations. So this isn't exactly a pump me up, pick me up song, but my hope is it's inspirational. And I know there's news currently, and fingers crossed, about, vaccinations around the corner and things like that. So that's good. And also this artist, so Ron Sexsmith, for those who don't know, Ron Sexsmith is an incredible Canadian artist from St. Catharines. He had a live concert just 2 days ago, so Lisa and I were tuning in, and it's so great to see this guy on stage. He's so humble. He makes incredible music, writes incredible songs, does work with, extremely famous artists, and sometimes doesn't get the credit that he deserves. So this is Ron Sexsmith's. It's called Former Glory. Yeah, I thought it just spoke in terms of like, there will be brighter days and stay strong. That's kind of what I thought about.
Yeah, I love that line, though the cold north wind may blow and north is capitalized. It's all sound and fury, and the summer will return in its former glory. And I think that, you got me thinking about optimism as its own part of that category. And I appreciated that so much. So let's play the song.
Your eyes are burning low as you look out on this morning, but your eyes will return to their former glory. Though the cold north wind may blow, it's all sound and fury, and the summer will return in its former glory. Everything will be just like you remember. Today won't look as bad as it seemed. And though love's become a dying ember, it will burn brighter than you ever dreamed. For the day is coming soon. You don't have to worry. Your light will return in its former glory. Everything will be just like you remember. Today won't look as bad as it seemed. Though love's become a dying ember, it will burn brighter than you ever dreamed.
That was a really special song, and these are hard times. How are your boys handling it?
They seem to be doing okay. We're we're trying to get them the facts, you know what I mean? Like trying to get them the factual information. Like here's what we think, are the risks. We have to be careful and all of those things. We have to take care of one another, you have to listen to kind of guidance from experts and things like that, but also not to be fearful. They're going to school each day. The teachers are doing an incredible job. Administration and staff are all doing an incredible job. They were wearing masks for a day or two that seemed kind of strange to them. And now it's just kind of, they grab their mitts and their hat and their mask and they're flying out the door. It's just kind of become normal. So it's been pretty amazing to see them, we talk about resiliency and just to see, like we've tried to be clear and open with them and they just seem to be, I think, having a pretty good understanding of everything and seem to be handling it okay. That's
really good. It's so nice to hear that. How do you feel about sharing your 3 songs with me?
I feel pretty good about it. I like music. I'm by no means don't play very much music. Lisa bought me a ukulele, so I've been struggling along with that. Lisa and her sister Melissa taught me a few songs on the piano a few years back, so I've got like 3 songs I can pull out occasionally, or not even songs, but about 15 seconds of 3 different songs. But I listen to a lot of music, and I always have. I have a very good friend, Mike, who in university he's the one that turned me on to kind of the Sloan and also Ron Sexsmith. When we go to concerts for Ron Sexsmith, I'll always see Mike, or I used to see Mike would come with me, or now I see his family. It comes from a big family here in London, the Howletts, so I'll usually see Mike's parents or friends. So there's a nice personal connection to all these songs, including Shad as well. So it was nice. It was like a little trip down memory lane and also thinking forward, like the rest of my life. And also, like post-COVID, hopefully this gets resolved. And we all return to that former glory, I guess.
Yeah, I from your song to the reality on the ground. Where can people find you?
So I'm Twitter is probably the best, at Steven P. Floyd. On Twitter, I am very interested in kind of the computer science, computational thinking, coding, but I'm also very interested in all things education. I have a real profound respect for kind of all the subject areas. I get excited when I hear teachers speaking about their own subjects, own assignments, pedagogy, subjects, concepts, skills in whatever subject it is. That's what I get really excited about. So yeah, that's probably easiest on Twitter, kind of all things education related.
I get that. I kind of live, breathe education as my hobby and passion and profession. So I thank you so much for spending this time with me. Is there anything you want to add before I play you out?
I don't think so. Just a big thank you to yourself and everyone else who's just sharing the stories of educators. Lisa and I do some work around coding and things. And that's one thing we always wanted to make sure of, was that it's not only our voice, Steve's voice and Lisa's perspective and Steve's perspective around coding or computational thinking or whatever the case may be, technology in schools. We really want to recognize the different voices of Ontario educators and their perspectives and what's working and not working for them. So I'm always really grateful for people like you, just sharing the voices of people. It's fantastic. So I just wanted to say thank you.
That feels really good. And I learn so much from these kinds of conversations, but mostly I learn about the human beings that are in education that make our profession so very special. So thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you for joining us on the P3, the Personal Playlist Podcast. I'm Noah Daniel. This is Voice Ed Radio, and I hope you have a fantastic day.